Today it rained heavily in the village of Sibro, probably a typhoon, and without a weather forecast Usopp is not very sure. The house that Usopp built by the sea is not very good, not to mention the bricklayer work is really difficult, leaking rain and wind everywhere. So Usopp moved to a merchant ship today. The dark clouds outside the ship are overwhelmed. The wind is fury. The wind is like a frightened elf, and the wild horse that has lost its reins is running wildly with the momentum of thunder. The rain of beans hit the hull of the ship, like a rock from heaven, frenzy, passion, savagery. This not very gentle weather gave Usopp a rare rest, and the whole person nestled in the comfortable lounge chair in the captain's room, and the softness and warmth wrapped him tightly. In the flickering candlelight, Usopp held a cup of hot tea in his hand, taking a sip from time to time. Listening in my ears, I felt the fury of the galloping horses outside and the earth shaking the sky. This feeling of the end approaching made Usopp somehow feel extremely peaceful and comfortable. It is rare that there is no BFF hanging on the body. There is such a peaceful and comfortable mood, and the future crisis and anxiety are also quietly hidden. Time seemed to slow down suddenly, giving Usopp a little time to breathe and rest. Knowing the future is not a very uncomfortable thing for Usopp, and some people may like it, but Usopp is not. He sees it as a responsibility, a burden. Knowing the future and participating in the future means that we have to shoulder certain missions, and since we know tragedy, it is difficult to watch it happen without changing it and ending it. But changing one's fate comes at a sufficient price. Usopp was not ready to pay the unknown price, which made Usopp feel a little fearful. Of course, Usopp can also escape, but when Luffy and the others come guided by fate, can they really escape? Will they escape? Usopp didn't know what kind of choice he would make, so he was both expecting Luffy and the others, but also afraid of their arrival. It's like giving a speech for the first time, excited and scared. Some live for the future, some for it. Usopp asked himself. He didn't like either. He lived every day for the future in his previous life. Go to elementary school to go to a better junior high school for a better high school, then college, work, and then live for the future of your children, and so on from generation to generation. And he's just a less important node in the loop. Usopp knows the dangers of the thief world better than anyone, and even if he now has some strength to protect himself, he is still stronger than him. Usopp was not a strong man in his previous life, and perhaps his position brought him a little confidence and arrogance. But in essence, he is not a hot-blooded young man. He is just an ordinary person who is a little intimidated, a little mourned, a little pessimistic, and a little homely. Usopp knew he wasn't as determined and brave as Luffy and them. So he always wondered if his arrival could really change those tragedies. Can his power alone really pry the track of destiny? According to the normal plot routine, Usopp should now go to the sea to find some mobs to brush up on experience. But as soon as Usopp thought of this, he began to feel stunned and wanted to run. Nothing to do. Still want to fight and kill. What is this that normal human logic can do? Even if he's a bad guy. The older generation once said that there is nothing to say, you don't know what to ask, you don't care about it, and you return early when you have nothing to do. As a master of procrastination, Usopp praised the wisdom of the ancients from the heart, which is an absolute truth. How I wish I hadn't seen One Piece, and followed everyone to an unknown adventure. Forget it. Why do you want to do so much? It's just an increase in trouble. Usopp held the teacup and took a small sip. The white steam slowly drifted in midair, and Usopp looked at the gradually emanating steam in a daze, stunned. Some things are really unreasonable, obviously the least practiced marksmanship, but the marksmanship is the most outstanding among Usopp's many skills. Within 50 meters, even the wings of mosquitoes in high-speed flight can be hit. Usopp has fully verified this, and countless mosquitoes die under this gun every night. Usopp's domineering color is also more peculiar, perhaps because of talent. Maybe it is the reason for the ball battle. His vision is not biased in the two directions of development of distance and foreknowledge of the future, but there is some meaning of going hand in hand. The strongest distance should be Fuji-Hu, which can accurately catch meteorites in space. Namana is space, but not your Kong 2. This sight is really invincible, and Usopp bows down. Kneel to the uncle. Usopp still has no clue about predicting the future, and it involves the question of time, which is easy to understand with ordinary hands. You have to take a big deal like Einstein. And that Luffy and Katakuri. Get lost. We don't understand the world of two stunned people. The ability to predict and avoid attacks has been mastered very well, and with the electric field generated by activating the domineering, Usopp can even vaguely hear the voices of others. This trick was vividly played by Usopp when bargaining for vegetables, so that the uncles and aunts called their confidants. In fact, it is just to interpret the electromagnetic waves radiated outward by the human brain, which is not interesting. Like a perverted voyeur, it is only Anilu, who compares himself to a god and has a mental problem, who is willing to monitor the voice of others. Listen too much and don't bother. Usopp smashed his mouth, another brain-draining skill. Usopp doesn't actually want to become stronger, and this thinking is very strange, as if most of the other protagonists spend their time in masochistic diligence, making it the ultimate goal of life. Making people happy. Usopp didn't feel this way. At least every time he exercised and practiced to exhaustion, he was quite miserable, and he couldn't wait to come tomorrow, and he could sleep in bed for a while, even if it was 5 more minutes. Maybe it's inertia. Maybe it's some other reason. Usopp doesn't practice well, and becoming stronger is not only painful but also boring. And Usopp also felt that he needed a little time to adapt to this rapidly increasing force, and as the power grew, the effect of the true sage time became less and less obvious, and some very dangerous thoughts would always pop up in his mind from time to time. Is it crazy? Or is it unstable mood? Usopp didn't know. He wanted to ask a teacher, but he thought of the big defeat on the weapon master's face. Never mind. Don't bother yourself. Usopp put the teacup in his hand on the table, and the whole person was deeply nestled in the soft sofa. Bashi. Relax your whole body, close your eyes and settle down. After cutting off distractions and some messy emotions, Usopp conducted a detailed self-analysis of his body and mind, and the result was that the speed of strength enhancement was too fast, resulting in a state of mind that could not keep up, and the power of the fruit seemed to be subtly affecting something. What's the situation? How is this similar to cultivating immortals? Still in the state of mind? And let the sniper not live? Can it be a happy assistant? It seems that upgrading the sage time and humble fire is already imminent. In fact, there are no levels of cultivation, only the distinction between entering and not entering. Not settled, sitting all night is just making yourself dizzy. Once you are fixed, your spiritual practice will increase over time. And the sage time brings clarity of mind, free from desire, can only be regarded as a pre-state of concentration. After the activation of the humble fire, it has a significant help to the spiritual power, and the control of various energies in the body can be more handy. However, the problem now is that the speed of increasing spiritual power is far from catching up with the speed of improving physical strength. As a result, the spirit has some control over the body, which breaks the original balance of spirit and flesh, so that Usopp's spirit is strongly disturbed by various hormones secreted by the strengthened flesh, resulting in all kinds of inexplicable desires and strange phenomena. Each different fruit also emits its own unique energy fluctuations, which subtly affect the person's temperament in a deeper position of the person's body and mind. The scattering of the yellow ape, the laziness of the green pheasant, the anger of the red dog, and some other fruit abilities, all of them have the same characteristic, that is, they are affected by the power of the fruit and gradually change their temperament. It's a very scary situation, at least Usopp thinks. Just like those capital bigwigs in the past life, they used various ways of eating, drinking, entertainment, TV and movie news advertisements to influence and hint at people in all aspects of life, and finally achieved the purpose of mind controlling the lower class people. This state of uncontrolled mental change by the influence of foreign objects has made Usopp deeply guarded since he realized it, and Usopp, who has been engaged in meditation, can now clearly sense that this influence is gradually acting on his body and mind. It was a deep, subconscious change. Why Luffy was so stunned, Usopp guessed that the rubber fruit accounted for 99.5%, leaving 0.5% for the rubber in his head and his grandfather's reverence teachings. To speculate is to imagine boldly and be careful to verify. The storm outside the ship is still raging, and with this doomsday breath that destroys the world and the earth, Usopp gradually sinks deeper into the depths of his soul. There is a calm lake. The surface of the lake from time to time turns some ripples from nowhere. Feeling his sometimes turbulent heart lake, Usopp is a little abrupt. In this trance, 2 words that I didn't know where to hear suddenly appeared clearly in Usopp's heart. Bodhi has no tree. The mirror is not a platform. There is nothing where to cause dust. Fallen limbs, depraved cleverness, detached from the form and wise, the same as chase. The 2 verses are like 2 wise masters, whispering in Usopp's ears, teaching Usopp wisdom and reason, and the sound of chanting carries endless wisdom, shaking Usopp's heart back and forth. There was nothing, where there was dust. Detached from the form, the same as chase. A faint realization gradually surged into Usopp's heart, and as Usopp's understanding deepened, the agitation of the heart lake became more violent. I don't know how long it took, maybe a moment, maybe 10,000 years. The morning sun opened slightly, the darkness suddenly saw the light, and the huge heart lake instantly dissipated without a trace, replaced by an endless light that enveloped the entire spiritual world. This light is a light of perfect nature, gentle and refreshing. The dust is gone, and I am looking, it is no longer here. Usopp, who was enlightened, slowly opened his eyes, and at this time, his eyes were empty, without focus, as if he was not looking, and seemed to be nothing. As if forgetting himself and fear, Usopp is no longer affected by his emotions and feelings, and maintains an extremely sensitive response to changes in his surroundings. Domineering fruit, guns, fighting skills, swordsmanship and other skills are integrated at this moment, blending into one furnace, conforming to this Usopp's instinct and waiting to be activated. This is Usopp's strongest state at the moment. At this moment, the fire is determined to evolve, and the selfless killing realm is forgot. Without further ado, he was caught alive, but he couldn't be allowed to run anymore. Usopp went out of the cabin first, said hello to Uncle Beecher, and then returned to the cabin to begin preparations for the door. The first is clothes, which is the place that best reflects a person's temperament. As the saying goes, people rely on clothes and horses on the saddle. Usopp copied the design solutions of top luxury brands in previous lives. On the Earth with a population of more than 7 billion, countless rich and famous ladies are crazy to play CA11 and applaud love. Usopp really didn't believe that the town couldn't live with a few countrymen. In order to sell their own PPT. To promote his business plan, Usopp also prepared a lot of design drafts and ready-to-wear already made. I don't know if it is the muscle control that has become stronger due to cultivation, but Usopp is now in this needlework. In the entire island and even the nearby seas, there is really no opponent, just like a mage full of tailoring talent. Usopp once spent a lot of tuition and a few big hands in the tailoring industry in the town to learn talents, but unfortunately they were all ordinary aunts, and they did not meet a hidden master like Lao Tai again. Think too much. Where can the novice Murakami find so many masters for you to meet? The tailoring skills of a few aunts are not bad and decent in this part of the village of West Bro. After simply learning the basic needlework, Usopp began to take off in the tailoring world. Precise muscle control, clear brain, perfect logical thinking. Let the simple stitch method be expanded and combined by Usopp into a variety of complex and changeable patterns. Well, it is much simpler than cultivation, and when concentrating on talents, it can also play a role in calming the mind, which really makes Usopp a little surprised. No wonder the big guys in the immortal cultivation world are all playing a good skill. It seems that it is not only caused by the boredom of a long life. The needle quickly interspersed back and forth on Usopp's hand, like a butterfly flying among the flowers, and various beautiful and gorgeous patterns, with a pleasing rhythm, quickly appeared on the fabric. It's really a bit of an undefeated sister. Aunts after watching Usopp do needlework. Moved to tears, I was shocked by the ultimate beauty brought by Usopp's ultimate art, and I couldn't say the shocking words. Usopp can be called a grandmaster in the tailoring world. The handsome and eye-catching appearance, coupled with Scooby-Doo techniques, made the aunts quickly become fans who can only shout 666. Little fangirl harvest +6. Who the fuck wants such a fangirl? Where is it, small bastard? Usopp roared angrily in his heart. After becoming talented, Usopp, who could not stand the enthusiasm of his fans, immediately defected from the division. Pirates never give in. It's scary. If you stay any longer, you may not be able to keep your chastity. Is this the trouble of handsome guys? Usopp also doesn't want to be so high profile. Low-key is the basis of a sniper's survival, but the slippery fruit's ability to refract different light waves has not yet been adjusted. Not only can it not play a role in transfiguration, but because the refractive index of the body is adjusted, the monochromatic daylight is dispersed into a 7-color aperture. The first time I used this skill, I happened to be seen by Uncle Beecher. The scene was almost out of control. 7-colored halos surrounded Usopp's body, and an indescribable sense of sacredness hit the uncle's heart. Clear eyes, beautiful appearance, streamlined body. Beecher looked at this man, even in his pants and vest slippers, who was 100 times more handsome than others. Is this the arrival of heaven and man? Why can't people look directly? Where did this moving tear come from? Uncle Beecher whispered as if in a wonderful hallucination. Usopp was the only true god he believed in at the moment, and he was about to kneel on the spot. Fortunately, Usopp reacted quickly, immediately received the magical power, and stopped the uncle from kneeling in shock, or he would have lost his life. Usopp later named this move, Divine Sticklaw Ring. Alas. Not only is it not low-key, but it is more high-profile, this Nima is really fateful. Changed into a hand-copied top-of-the-line design from the luxury of the past life, and with Usopp's now remarkable face, an elegant, mysterious and aristocratic temperament jumped out in front of you. It can be said that people look like dogs. With a business plan, a design draft, ready-to-wear samples, and a precious gift box ready for a long time, Usopp is ready to go out. Prepare enough to be able to attack and defend when sleeping with each other. Well, Qian also brought 2 boxes, the first visit, although it seems a little abrupt to bring a lot of things, but Usopp feels that time is precious and should not be wasted. It's best to do it all at once. Dusting off the non-existent dust on his hands, Usopp looked at the items piled up into a hill in front of him, full of a sense of accomplishment. Belch. Doesn't feel right. How is it like going to kiss? How about finding some red cloth to decorate? Usopp touched his handsome chin. You can be a person, it's hard to catch up with the owner of the big house, and the soldiers are fast. Usopp and Uncle Beachhill found a few more gorgeous-looking cars, loaded the goods, and prepared to rush to the house immediately. Door-to-door pickup. Belch. When discussing business plans, you can't use a truck pulling fish, and there is no way to talk on an equal footing. If you don't talk about business in your previous life, smash pots and sell iron, buy a good car to support the facade first. Just now, I wanted to talk about kissing. Your mouth almost leaked, right? I don't know. Don't talk nonsense. Huh? Little Usopp, can the uncle ask you a question? Beachhill asked tentatively. Ask. What is the relationship between the two of us? What are we doing so carefully? Want to borrow money? Small problem. Say the numbers. Usopp replied boldly. No. What money to borrow? Lao Su is not short of money. Ya's kid is not beaten off. Swing on Lao Su's head. The swelling is a little boundless. No wonder Lao Sang asked me to monitor him. This child is going to go astray. The father template is bigger. The corners of his eyebrows twitched, and he suddenly felt that the burden on his shoulders was heavier, and he tried to suppress the evil fire in his heart. Usopp is quite beautiful here, humming songs all the way, almost eating hot pot. Usopp, don't blame the uncle for talking too much. What are you going to do in the big house, and bring so many gifts? If you really like Miss Kia, the uncle can also understand, but the people are still young, you are likely to be beaten out when you come to the door like this. How about I call Lao Sang and a few of them to support you for the scene? Beecher adjusted his mentality and cautiously exhorted. Love is the most hurtful, and the first love is even more so. In case the door-to-door kiss is beaten out, there is no adult to support the scene. Usopp is still young, it is the time of youth and rebellion. In case of heartbreak, it is not good to be extreme, you can't come hard. Wairu is the best policy. Usopp with black lines on his face. How can this town hide dragons and crouching tigers so much? Thoughts are so erratic. How old am I to get married? Is the bone too hard? Or is the orthopedic doctor spicy enough? I, Usopp, really underestimate the world. Uncle, you are my own uncle, you have already said that it is a kiss, a kiss. I have said it many times to raise a family. Usopp's good mood for a day was completely destroyed, and he replied incoherently and angrily. Huh. Nima. Wrong to say. Say slip of the tongue. Tongue. It's about business, talking about business. Usopp, who found himself deflected, quickly explained. Look at me and say, Miss Kia as the town flower of our town. How can this little ghost who has never seen the world not be moved? Lao Sang is still swearing there. The kid is going to the sea to pursue some messy dreams. Lao Su is so smart, and can he be fooled by Lao Sang's wife? Amuse. Beachhill seemed to be deaf at the moment, unable to hear Usopp's explanation at all, and was still standing beside Usopp muttering to himself. Lao Su has never seen the world? Amuse? Lao Su's world scares you to death. Just don't tease. You or uncle. You're ready to go. Usopp was covered in black lines, and then he suddenly remembered that his big cousin who was as cold as snow and ice, remembered a generation of broken-mouthed Grandmaster Sunderland, and then turned his head to look at the fatherly template Beachhill beside him. Alas, suddenly there was some despair in my heart, and some decline. Forget it. You guys are happy. Usopp prayed in his heart that those strange things would be a little more normal after going to sea. Looking at it this way, it seems that cutting people is not so difficult to accept. Along the way, many people have seen the Usopp duo, becoming a handsome guy Usopp, and it has to be said that it has become a topic of conversation in West Buro Village. Coupled with Usopp's high profile and sharp look today, the eye-catching index soared by 10,000 percentage points. Countless girls to be married looked at his noble and elegant pretense, their eyes suddenly burst into the stars, and a few more chic ones wiped their saliva from time to time. Glancing around, Usopp's fierce forehead bulged with a green tendon. Of course, this scene is indispensable. Usopp's group of little fans in their 40s. Everyone followed Usopp all the way and whispered, and the team grew stronger and stronger as time passed. When it was discovered that Usopp's target was the big house, it set off a climax of discussion. Nima. Can you recite the protagonist of this story when you talk about others? Am I trying to force my artistic life? Usopp was a little skeptical that this was the world of pirates. What about good fighting, killing? What about destroying the world and destroying the world? What about the bad guys? Usopp immediately decided to raise the priority of the skill of transfiguration to the highest. And some quick-witted fans have already begun to guess Usopp's purpose. Big house? Town flower? Koya? Gown? Treasure? Well, treasure is equal to the bride price, and the bride price is equal to Marriage proposal equals. Propose? Propose. Equal to the whole. Ahem. Gossip, the cornerstone of human existence. In this world of lack of entertainment, enough gossip can make you immediately become the brightest star in the crowd after tea. And to raise a kiss? These two words somehow became unified between the fans and the followers. How can the words be unified? I didn't say anything. Do you communicate spiritually? At this moment, Usopp really wanted to lift everyone's skulls and see what everyone was thinking. Why don't you see and smell it? Don't be funny. Usopp can fully think that a large number of yin and yang gossip of various colors are surging fiercely. Is it because his brain is too clean? Seeing his idol leave him step by step, he is about to become someone else's dog. Thinking of the sadness, some fans have even shown despair, but think about the gap between their age and Genhua. Alas, can only be blessed with this tear. I have to say that the people are pure and good-hearted, and they did not think about pouring sulfuric acid. Bless you, uncle. The 8 characters have not been brushed aside. And the other part is the fire of gossip. Big house, town flower, handsome guy. Are popular buzzwords. What a buzzword it would be. Sisters. Did you go out in a hurry today without looking at the yellow calendar? Now it's all about it. The speed at which the grapevine spread really made Usopp desperate, and before he reached the big house, he already saw the figure of the old iron couple mixed in the crowd. These two old things are ready to watch my jokes. The loyal dog-legged eldest cousin, a cold and proud man who does not deserve to have a name. I don't know where to get the news. The eldest brother is going to propose a kiss to Miss Kia, and he needs enough manpower to town the field. Okay. Hula la. The eldest cousin brought 100 or so people, and automatically and consciously merged into the team behind Usopp. Your horses. Usopp was a little powerless to complain. You are my brother, dear brother. Even if you really mention relatives, you can't take these 100 or so people full of patterns and flowing things to pick up kisses. This is especially to raise relatives or to smash the field. Kia's father seems to have also received news that Usopp is coming to ask for a kiss. Kia's parents were also stunned when they received the news, although they had long thought of such a day. But this is just home, can't you give people a breather? It's too ignorant to count, and the impression points are -10. But looking at this monkey's anxious appearance is also to love the little girl. Look at the appearance of the good family, but Ya has also reached the age of engagement. If you are sincere, you can't consider it. But it seems that everyone is almost here, so go out and greet them. Looking at the clothes that had just been taken off on the side, Kia's parents collapsed for a while. These nasty aristocratic etiquette. Tired, Kaya's parents went to the dressing room to change into a new set of dresses and ordered the kitchen to prepare for receiving guests. When Kia heard someone come to ask for a kiss, the little people were all dumbfounded. Someone came to the door to ask for a kiss. As a noble lady, she already knew in her heart that she would be like this, and her heart was full of expectations. It's just that most of the feelings she feels for her other half come from the fantasy in her heart. Suddenly such a real person wanted to break into her, which immediately made the kind and gentle Kia extremely flustered, but there was also a trace of expectation in the panic, looking forward to the brave young man who was about to come to the door. With a flustered heart, Kia ran upstairs and began to rummage to find her most beautiful dress. The girl's feelings are always poetry, hoping that her Prince Charming is a hero in the spotlight, stepping on the 7-colored auspicious clouds to marry herself. All the attention? 7-colored auspicious clouds? After all the hardships along the way, Usopp finally stood at the door of the big house. Turning his head to look at the group of people pressed by the black behind him, Usopp felt a little desperate in his heart, hesitating whether to open the magic ring to make a big wave. Maybe today's matter is going to be yellow. A large dangerous word hung on Usopp's forehead. What are you doing there, Shang? Usopp, be brave, power for love, you uncle, I support you. It's really lively, not afraid of big things. Knock. Knock. Lao Sang's voice drove the atmosphere of the venue, and the eldest cousin also brought his brothers to start cheering hard for the eldest brother, and gradually this unified slogan was shouted. The sound of the heavens shaking momentum, the neat and uniform movements, quite a bit of Fang Shiyu led the pomp of the puff girl, that is, the lack of sunglasses. After killing the strange thoughts in his heart, there was another green tendon on Usopp's head. These big guys were sent by heaven to test me, right? Believe it or not, Lao Su will enter the selfless killing realm now and unload you all. Did I really come as a pirate? Isn't it a big blind date show? Pirates do not disturb? 1, 2, 3. How is it so unorthodox? Don't shout slogans, big guys. This is to put Lao Su on the fire and roast awe. It seemed that he heard the slogan outside the door, and before Usopp could knock, the door opened automatically inside. After the door opened, the whole scene seemed to press the mute button instantly. Everyone stared straight at Usopp, paying attention to the subsequent development of the situation. Somehow, these looks made Usopp feel that the cold ice rain was shooting indiscriminately on his face. After opening the door, a group of people walked in, led by a middle-aged man with clean and neat hair, a straight suit, and a kind demeanor. Beside him is an intellectually elegant woman. And the woman was scanning Usopp back and forth with a scrutinizing eye. The smile at the corner of his mouth seemed to be quite satisfied with his appearance. Looking at the posture of these two people, Usopp secretly screamed in his heart that it was not good, and these two seemed to have taken it off track. This makes Usopp a little difficult to ride a tiger now, so many people look at it, saying that they are not here to raise a kiss. It doesn't matter if you have your own face, but how can you talk about cooperation if the owner of the big house can't come to Taiwan? How did things come to this point? Is it so hard to talk about business now? How to break? Although the rain did not fall, the atmosphere was still not harmonious. Everyone's expectant eyes were focused on Usopp, so they looked at him quietly, waiting for him to make a statement, and then move on to the next lighting session. Isn't this a pirate? Do not disturb. Kia's parents had a good first impression of the young man in front of them, with a tall figure, good appearance, and temperament, especially the pair of black eyes, which showed a pride and calmness that penetrated into the marrow. I have seen many middle-aged men who have read countless people in the world, and it is easy to see that this is not the kind of pompous and shallow pride, but a kind of restrained confidence brought by their own strength. The boy's clothing taste is also very good. It is a style he has never seen before, simple, atmospheric, elegant, full of vitality and rhythm. At first glance, it is the hand of a famous master. Looking at the townspeople following behind Usopp, most of Koya's father knew and was familiar, especially Sunderland, the old man with a broken mouth, who winked at him, full of the taste of recommendation. The popularity is also good, and the old thing recommendation of Sunderland can be considered. Although it is not clear what Usopp is, in terms of his current senses and comprehensive score, he is still worthy of his baby daughter. The two old bastards in the crowd, Bishir and Sunderland, stood together at some point, lowered their heads and quietly touched their heads and ears, and did not know what to say. From time to time, Bishir also looked up at Usopp, and a reassuring smile leaked from his side. The laughing Usopp got goosebumps. Sir, you're ready to go. Lao San and Aunt Ahir also nodded to him frequently, as Usopp's strong backing, crazy for his love CA-11. Your hint Lao Su can't understand. A few big guys, please don't forcibly open the group again. What a crime. This has been standing for 5 minutes. Usopp now has a bit of a feeling of sitting wax. The owner of the big house in his heart is in front of him, up or not. Now it's a philosophical question. After forcibly doing a few seconds of mental work for himself, Usopp, who had made up his mind, condensed a fierce ruthlessness in his eyes. Love whom? Fight. Above. Hello uncles and aunts, my son-in-law's name is Usopp. Bowing indicates respect, and etiquette is elegant and accurate. Everyone who was shocked by this little son-in-law opened their mouths at the same time. It was too shameful, and the 8 characters were not brushed off. Are you about to call daddy? Is this to occupy the pit first? Click, click, click. With laughter and questioning, and the heartbreak voices of the fans, Usopp realized that he seemed to be taken crookedly. Wrong. It's the little nephew. The little nephew's name is Usopp. Click, Usopp middle road began to collapse. Usopp, who suddenly realized that he had said the wrong thing, quickly explained, hoping to save a little of the disadvantage in the situation, but it seemed a little twilight, and Usopp's whole person had gone further and further on the road to raising his family. Oh, son-in-law, we all heard yo, have you seen hundreds of people booing together? Your uncles. Usopp's whole body was swallowed by the black line. He has seen countless strong winds and waves. Is he going to overturn in this small pond today? Never mind. Come on. The man is just positive. The little nephew is a townsman, and when the two of them just came back, it was really a bit abrupt to come here. However, the little nephew is also anxious, so he still looks at his uncle and Aunt Hyun. Usopp continued cheekily, clearing his throat and smiling shyly. With a proud righteousness in his eyes, he stared at Kia's parents, as if what happened just now had nothing to do with him. Kia and his wife looked at each other. Not bad. He is not shocked. He is still a good boy who knows how to be polite, and his impression is increased by 10 points. The Sunderlands were also making crazy eye contact off stage. Old Sang, I haven't seen this kid getting thicker and thicker in a few days. More and more can be loaded. Yes. The daughter-in-law and children, I don't know who to learn from, so I can pretend. The last time I came to our house to touch porcelain, it was obviously a little pompous. Now good guys, with stories in their eyes. Is this kid not good at cultivating and putting his mind into some crooked ways? The old guy from Beachel didn't stare either. If Lil Usopp learns badly, see how I clean him up. it's really that the old lady can't lift the knife. Don't impulse your daughter-in-law. You don't need to make a move. Another day I'm going to educate that Usopp kid and get him back on the right path. No, it's over. Small problem. Just you? Also educate people, little Usopp? Forgot the last time you were seconds? Depression for more than 2 months, forgot? The defeat on the face is removed? Lao Sang was madly output by his wife's eyes, and he was defeated. The wife he chose, endured, and the topic ended. This time the little nephew came to ask for an important matter. This matter is very important, and it will have a profound impact on both of us in the future, so the little nephew hopes to go in and sit with the two of us to have a good discussion. The little nephew also prepared a little gift, and also hoped that the uncle and aunt would smile. Usopp sorted out the wording and handed over the carefully prepared gift box with both hands, all of which were old yin. Ahem. A treasured goodie from the old captain. Underscore. Usopp played with his heart, first confused the people outside with ambiguous words, secretly changed the concept, and then talked to Kia's parents until he entered the hall, revealed his sincerity, said the real purpose, and finally reached a cooperation. After coming out, he said that the eldest lady didn't like his style. Love is very solipsistic. Turnip cabbage has its own love, handsome top fart, who will like a stranger all of a sudden. At that time, he was pretending to be sad, and this excuse was simply seamless. In this way, the face of the Kia family was also saved. I should not start the passive effect of growing a nose here. Lao Su is really a genius. Looking at the gift handed over by Usopp, Kaya's father stood there with a smile on his face and did not move, and Koya's mother next to him stepped forward and gently accepted Usopp's gift. When he turned back, he gave Usopp a reassuring look. What do you mean? Our sixth person. However, seeing that the other party received the gift, Usopp was a little happy in his heart, and it seemed that things had begun to develop in a better direction. When the time comes, go in and explain it well, and the face will be enough, at least it should not be beaten. But what Usopp never expected was that Kia's mother actually opened the gift in front of everyone, and a ray of sunshine gift box entered it when it was half open, and then shot out a brilliant and translucent red light, and in the middle of the fully opened gift box, a beautiful ruby necklace was lying there quietly. The quail-sized ruby came into everyone's eyes, the gemstone was pure and transparent, and with the slightly shaking hand of Kaya's mother, it emitted a faint halo in the sunlight. At the moment, no woman can resist the charm of this gemstone, radiant and unique. Realizing everyone's expressions, Mother Kia quickly closed the gift box. It's good if you don't look at it, but after reading it, I am a little overwhelmed, and I don't know whether to accept such a valuable gift. Kia's father seemed more calm. Although the gemstone was precious, it was not as precious as his daughter, but the gift could be seen that the sincerity of the young man in front of him could be seen. A few cars of things prepared behind must not be ordinary products, although this son's background is not high, but this highlights the ability and character even more. The status of men comes from the foil of power and money. Not bad. Kia's father took a picture in his heart, the button to turn around for love. Butler. Pull the gifts that Usopp brought to the backyard. The man turned around and ordered. Come first. The kitchen is preparing lunch. Let's go to the garden to talk first. After saying that, Koya's parents led Usopp towards the garden. The butler led a few servants, took a few wagons from Beechel's hand, and transported them to the backyard of the house. Dear fellow countrymen, I will go first, and I will not be able to come out in the middle of the day. The sun is quite big, so you should disperse early, go back to your respective homes. Before entering the hospital, Usopp turned to the grandfathers in the fans, and after speaking, he followed Kia's parents into the flower with steps that the 6 relatives did not recognize. Explanation is equal to cover up, and the more things are explained, the more troublesome it is, and the best way is cold treatment. Alas, can be considered alive. Isn't it also a tough battle? How to round back is a problem. The ship to the bridge is naturally straight. Hold on, you can win. However, Lao Sang and a few of them, it seems that they have been living a little moisturized recently. Big cousin. Pick him up later. Usopp followed Koya's parents to the garden of the large house, and after Usopp's courtesy, the 3 of them sat around a small round table with a pot of black tea and some pastries, standard for afternoon tea. The surrounding maids poured tea for the 3 of them, folded their hands in front of them, and stood quietly behind a few people, waiting for the next call of the master. What is called quality, called enjoyment, Usopp can be regarded as an eye-opener. The nobleman did indeed have his unique heritage. Quiet. None of the 3 had experienced this scene, but Kia's father looked at his nose and elegantly picked up the teacup and took a sip gently. Kia's mother looked at Usopp with a smile. Quite a bit of the mother-in-law's more interesting to see her son-in-law. And Usopp looked at the 2 elders in front of him with an awkward but polite smile on his face. Originally equal partners, why did this atmosphere suddenly shorten for a lifetime? Naughty. Uncles and aunts. After waiting for a long time to see that the other side still did not mean to speak, Usopp decided to preemptively. X2. Koya's father put down the empty cup in his hand and turned his attention back to Usopp. Usopp's heart is already covered with black lines. Holding you with an empty cup for a long time. If you are embarrassed to find a topic, I can find a topic. That's right, in fact, this time I came. I didn't want to. The words are not finished. A pale pink figure walked into the garden, with long hair with a light blonde shawl, a pale pink robe wrapped in a light pink robe, revealing a graceful neck and clearly visible collarbones, a little girlish shyness in her childish eyes, and a little innocence in her soft smile. Looking at the girl Usopp like a lightning strike, such a girl's shyness is really the most beautiful thing in the world, like love. Usopp suddenly remembered a lyric and smoked. Finding love is like a wave of sand. Meet her. Like spring water reflecting pear blossoms. Mr. and Mrs. K looked at the dazed Usopp and smiled knowingly. Critical hit. No matter how perfect the tactics are, there are times when there are mistakes, especially when the key points are not guessed correctly. Usopp did not expect that the magic of the official match was so huge. I didn't expect that I would be attracted to a teenage girl. What did you just say and it wasn't? The two asked deliberately with a smile. Me. Usopp's performance. The husband and wife saw it clearly, and they were also very satisfied with Usopp's current conditioned performance. After all, his daughter was loved by excellent people. It is also a happy thing, of course. It would be better if this person was still a strong person who could entrust his daughter for life. Usopp's side also reorganized his mood and quietly hung up sage time for himself. Not being able to kill selflessly made Usopp feel a little restrained. You can only use an old skill that has been eliminated first. The moment Kia saw Usopp, the whole person was firmly attracted by Usopp, not only by his appearance, but also by a temperament that was difficult to express in words. This feeling pierced Kia's atrium in an instant, and the atrium was hit hard by Kia, who was breathing painfully, and almost fainted before he reached the three of them. A woman's heart is sensitive, especially to her beloved, even if she is not a real woman. Kia looked at the beautiful person next to her parents, and was hesitating how to step forward when Usopp's eyes swept over. The two looked at each other, briefly intersected. It seems that it has crossed tens of millions of years. A faint artistic conception flows in the eyes of the two. Kia has never thought, how can there be a person's eyes can show so many things? The heart has a soul? She didn't know. She only knew that at this moment, she seemed to be able to feel the same mood as the beautiful person in front of her. Looking at the other party's deep eyes, she felt a deep loneliness, and an unspeakable loneliness. At the same time, this loneliness and loneliness also shrouded Kaya's heart, followed by a sharp pain in her heart, and when she returned to her senses, Koya, who stood in front of Usopp, had already burst into tears. Not knowing the courage that came from there, Kia hugged Usopp at once, and said softly in Usopp's ear with a crying voice, "Don't be afraid, there will be me in the future." After saying that, Koya fainted in Usopp's arms. Gone. A dangerous word hangs in the head. Suddenly, Usopp secretly screamed in his heart. Kia has always been a very important person in Usopp's heart. The main reason comes from the feelings of the two childhood sweethearts in the original work, which also caused Usopp in this life to also pay attention to this girl. So the moment Usopp saw Kia, coupled with the stimulation of Lao Tai and others in front, his heart was shocked, and he did not control the domineering agitation in his body, domineering with Usopp's spirit, and rushed over with Kia's eyes. How can such a little girl withstand this strong spiritual impact? Fortunately, Usopp had no malice, but between the agitations, he unconsciously unfolded his heart, and was felt by Kaya, so it caused Koya to faint. But suddenly being hugged by a girl in front of her parents, you have to say nothing, who can believe it? Now he still fainted in his arms. What to do? Online wait, urgent. Usopp is a little numb. Don't you have such a mess? Can't you afford to play? In addition to being overwhelmed, now the hands do not know where to put them. Pick it up in front of someone's parents. I'm afraid I'll live too long. How is it like chaos and abandonment? What a name. Uncle and uncle, don't be impulsive, don't be impulsive. In fact, I can explain it. Looking at Kia's father's coal-like black face and that murderous expression, Usopp quickly explained. On the side, Koya's mother kept staring at Usopp with an interested look. Oh? You explained to Lao Su, you stinky boy, say. Did you come early to hook up with our family, Kia? Believe it or not, I demolished you on the spot now. Koya's father angrily tugged on Usopp's collar, and if Koya hadn't been in Usopp's arms, Usopp would probably have died on the spot. Lying groove. How to explain this? Yellow mud fell off the crotch, not is also. Refuse. That's definitely going to be a mess. Except. What about talking about business? And the domineering such a high-level thing is estimated that these two elders have never seen it, and it is quite difficult to explain, and it is necessary to explain clearly without triggering the long-nosed aura, and the difficulty has increased by more than one notch. It's hard, it's tricky. The art of losing language is simply difficult. HMPH. I don't think you kid can explain anything, so are you ready to die? Kaya's father's anger has clearly made him lose his mind. With the knife handed over by an unknown person, he was about to greet Usopp. Usopp was in a hurry, and could only frequently signal to his mother-in-law that it was time for our sixth person to exert his strength. Alright. Don't scare the child, be careful of hurting your daughter. Sooner or later, your little lover is someone else's wife, so you accept it. I look at Usopp, this child is very good, if you really hurt people. See if your daughter still does not hate you. The gentle voice carries a strength that cannot be refused. Or how to say that the mother-in-law looked at her son-in-law more and more pleased, seeing Usopp's eyes for help. Kia's mother was a little soft on the spot. It also has to be said that Duojin Handsome is a sharp blade to slaughter women. The old man in the rage still listened to the advice, controlled the knife in his hand, and the knife hovered on Usopp's forehead. The tip of the knife pointed at Usopp's eyebrows, and a cold sweat poured out of Usopp's forehead. I'll go. It's fun. What an old man. It's the business you want to talk about. Why are there so many twists and turns? I feel that if I don't send a daughter-in-law today, I can't get out of this door. Although the scene is now a little better, Usopp still does not dare to say that I am not here to mention the kiss. Now say it's not to raise a relative, it's not to look for death. What are you going to do? Do you want to abandon the chaos and abandon it all the time? To enter is to die, and not to enter is also to die. With the participation of Bikie, Lao Tai, Big Cousin and others, the whole thing has perfectly turned into a difficult endless loop. Hee hee, when I come out, none of you can live, Usopp smiled grimly in his heart. The farce did not last long, and several people carried the fainted Kia back to the room to rest. Although the atmosphere was a little unharmonious, under the mediation of the sixth person, several people still spent a good lunch together. Except that the old man's face is not a face, and the nose is not a nose. It would be nice to kidnap someone else's little lover and not cut you. I'm not. Don't talk nonsense. It's just the first time I've met the yarn. God, please stop playing with me. Every bite that Usopp ate was spent in fear, and he didn't know how a Geonao was so daring. Kia, who has not experienced the mental shock, did not wake up after lunch. There is no way Usopp can only bite the bullet and find it. The old man chats, after all, the business is important, it's all like this, break the jar and break the handle, let's talk about the business first. In the study, sunlight spills through the window to the floor, making the room appear warm and quiet. The murderous look in the old man's eyes made the room a little cold, and also made Usopp feel very uncomfortable. How could Xiao Yi, such an upright and polite socialist good young man, hook up with underage girls? Alas, this basin seems to be tightly buckled. In the end, to reason with there, Usopp wailed in his heart. Uncle, actually, the little nephew still has something to ask for? Embarrassed and polite. Huh. Do you still have something to ask for? Say, I'll hear what else you kidnapped my daughter's little bastard. The old man's murderous spirit did not decrease, but because of Usopp's request, it became a little stronger. Well, actually, I came here to discuss a business with my senior. A big deal. When it comes to business, Usopp is much more serious. Business? The old man suddenly became a little interested in this kid. But on second thought, isn't it right? Isn't it here to raise a kiss? That's right, it's business. Uncle, look at how this outfit is on me. Very good, simple and elegant atmosphere, unseen style, but better than a novelty. When it came to business, the old man's expression was much more relaxed and serious. I designed this outfit. You? This answer shocked Kia's father a little, and it was an answer that he completely expected. Are you a hillbilly kid? How old can you write and design? I believe you are a ghost. What does this have to do with business? Although he was surprised in his heart, the calm old man did not show much on his face, and still asked in a deep voice. To be simple, let's talk about the theme, the design. You pay in the store, we partner to sell clothes, bags, perfumes and other high-end luxury goods. We work together to create a luxury brand. Medusa. Speaking of his ideals, Usopp's eyes flashed with a strong confidence. Go on. Just one theme is Kia's father, who has been in business for many years, and for the sake of his daughter, let you say a few words. I have several advantages. 1. It is unique and original, the quality is comparable to this one on me, and I have a mature promotion and publicity plan. A business plan of this magnitude is certainly not something that can be explained in a few words. Usopp respectfully placed the plan he had prepared in front of his husband. The old man, who entered the working state, ignoring the little farce of the morning, began to sit at his desk, burying his head in earnestly reading Usopp's more than 300 pages of books. It contains a large number of Usopp clothing design drawings, design concepts, and a complete set of operation promotion plans. How to make a profit, how to price, how to choose the location of the store, how to decorate. There are detailed parameters and details. For a whole afternoon, Usopp stood at his desk like this, replying from time to time while cultivating Koya's father's questions and details. When the two read the whole plan, the sun had already set for a long time, and Kia's mother did not dare to disturb too much. Anyway, it seemed that there was no fight. Just wait for the two of them to come out of the study by themselves. The meal was also hot and hot. The plan is very good. I do underestimate you. You can see that you are indeed a genius in business. Whether it is brand promotion, target customers, product production, all aspects you have considered very perfect and clear. Just rush you this set of plans. Do not look at the ready-to-wear you brought. I can cooperate with you, but there is still a fundamental problem, one of the most fundamental problems in this world. Kia's father paused, just arrived home and did not have time to rest, and the work that lasted all afternoon made him a little tired. You say. Security issues, how to make safeguards. After all, the sea is not so safe. Huh. This is not a problem. We don't need to worry about it when we are still small. When we become bigger, we don't need to worry about this problem. First of all, the cost of our items is not high. The main cost is in the design. Even if it is robbed, it does not matter. The pirates always have to ship when they grab it, and in order to help them ship, I will attach some promotional brochures to the robbed goods. The purpose is to make the pirates our sales team. Simply put, if the pirates grab the goods, it doesn't matter if they let them grab it, but if he wants to sell at a high price, he must desperately praise our things. Taking advantage of this, our products should soon open up popularity. When the time comes to do hunger marketing, firmly grasp the source of goods and shipments, further speculate on prices and brand value. After the popularity hit, there were two options, and Usopp raised two fingers. As soon as the red-haired pirate flag is hoisted, if something happens to me, I will solve it. After all, my own father is a cadre on the ship of the four emperors, and there is not much problem. The second is to wait for other forces to come to the door. After all, such a big profit, some greedy forces will definitely not let go of this piece of unprotected fat. If it is a small force, you hang the banner of the Don Quixote family to scare them. If it is a force above the 7 Wuhai, or people from the Don Quixote family come over, you reveal that you still have a boss behind the scenes, and then inadvertently reveal my news to the other party and let them come to me. It's that simple. Looking for you. You're still a kid. Although the old man is resentful of Usopp and his daughter's affairs, he really let him face a strong enemy as a child, and he still can't do this kind of thing. It's that simple. Don't worry, I'm strong. Seeing the old man's concern, Usopp spoke, and a thick black electric arc slipped between his hands. The arc of electricity kept changing in Usopp's hand, and a smell of ozone filled the air. Maybe it's the smell of money. The two who came out of the study hooked up and carried each other as if they were the most loved in each other's lives, good brothers, good partners, and good sons-in-law. After talking about the business plan, Usopp also explained his true intentions to Koya's father again, and the small farce that was made outside due to some misunderstandings. Although Kia's father attaches great importance to the business of cooperating with Usopp, he pays more attention to Usopp's own strength. In this extremely evil era of chaotic times and kings, a strong strength is the reliance of the survival of the world. Just like Whitebeard, BG Monkai and others, they are their own unmatched strength, to occupy an important position in the chaotic world. If the daughter can follow this kind of strong person, her future safety can be regarded as having enough guarantees. This is much more meaningful than making money. After all, no matter how much money there is, it is only a number in the end. From this point of view, the old man is still very satisfied with Usopp. No. It should be said that it is very satisfied, plus, full score. And Usopp's son has a strong talent for business, and has a strength bonus. If you can't dominate the side in the future, it's a joke, although the family lineage is not high. But the victory is in innocence, knowing the roots. Temperament should be good from the support of Sunderland's few old things. Just you, son-in-law, want to run? There is no door, ha 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 ha. I should have explained it just now, right? Listening to the hearty laughter of the old man, Usopp suddenly felt a little apprehensive in his heart. Hearing the laughter, Usopp turned his head, just as Koya's father's gaze also swept back. The two looked at each other, looking at their future food and clothing parents. Usopp felt that according to business etiquette, should he also laugh? Alas. It's really hard to do business, and it's laughing. Suddenly, unconsciously, Usopp also laughed. Although it was the same hearty laughter, Usopp did not realize that the meaning of the laughter of the two might be a little different. After an afternoon of rest, Koya finally woke up, which made Usopp's hanging heart relax a little. After all, He didn't really use domineering to shock other people's spirits, and if he really hurt Kia, Usopp would definitely not be able to pass the threshold in his heart. Especially the shocking hug in the morning, which made his whole soul crispy. Let this soft little girl who still belongs to strangers occupy the high ground in Usopp's heart. Sometimes it has to be said that love comes too quickly like a tornado, can't bear it, but has hidden. 4 people sat at the dinner table, and the dishes on the table looked relatively average because they were hot and hot. Originally, Kaya's mother wanted to make a new part of the kitchen, but was secretly stopped by Kaya's father. The old man also wants to test Usopp's heart through this meal. Details determine success or failure, and the character of people can be best seen from the small things of some living habits. I have to say that the old man is also a good eagle to play. Perhaps today's encounter is related to the rise and fall of their entire family. Although he already knew the true purpose of Usopp's coming, the old man still quietly decided in his heart that he would simply make a mistake. Come to him 1. Get on the wrong sedan and marry Lang. Kia also seems to like this handsome young man. How nice. Fish and bear's paw can have both. The old man was a little secretly proud when he thought of this, and the good son-in-law who sent him to the door had no reason to let it go. God really helped me too. Usopp was still happy in his heart at this time. The matter was explained clearly, and the business was almost discussed, and after a while, the dinner table was giving the old man some standard business praise, and as soon as the small contract was signed, the rest of the cultivation of the beauty and nourishment was over. Although the dishes on the table are not good to buy, but Usopp does not care much, and the people who gnaw their elbows every day still care about the appearance. It is enough to eat without poison. The arrangement of the dining table is also very clever, and I don't know if it is intentional, but Ya happens to sit next to Usopp, which Usopp can't figure out, and he has to hack his macho man to death in the afternoon. How can he suddenly allow his little baby to sit next to him? Irrationality. There is a problem. There must be some conspiracy? Is it a beauty meter? Usopp was secretly wary that things might not be that simple. Thinking of this treasure town of hidden dragons and crouching tigers, Usopp felt that he still needed to be more cautious. After all, the old yin in this town. Ahem. There are still quite a few old-timers. Without signing a contract, he couldn't let his guard down for a moment, and Usopp picked up his spirits and prepared for battle. Koya's fair skin sitting next to Usopp was flushed with shame, and her mind was full of the embarrassment of the afternoon. Brave hugs. Oops, it's so humiliating to do that kind of thing. Kia covered her face, wisps of steam bubbling on her head. Occasionally, he also peeked at Usopp beside him through his fingers, and after glancing, it seemed that there was more steam. Usopp felt a little collapsed in the middle at the moment, looking at the steam on Kaya's head, very doubtful that she would suddenly faint again, lying in her arms, in case she was lying on herself. How could she break it? Usopp glanced at our 6th man, and his aunt smiled. Oh, he finished. Now the 6th person is completely in a state of watching liveliness. Usopp quietly glanced at Kia's father again. The big guy did not squint, and looked at himself with a calm gaze. This scrutinizing gaze made Usopp very depressed. Just negotiated cooperation. His generation has obviously been upgraded to a partner. Why suddenly feel that he is a generation shorter? What routine? It's a bit confusing. Usopp looked around for a week and none of them could fight, or did he take advantage of the fact that the form had not collapsed? Father-in-law. When do you think we sign this contract? Quiet, surprise. This father-in-law gave everyone a whole blindfold. The Kia family looked at Usopp dumbfounded. The old man's heart 10,000 grass and mud horses roared. This kid is too special and shameless. How shameless, although the heart has agreed, but is your kid also a little too direct? Kia's mother is also the first time to encounter this kind of wizard on the snake stick, but for love, she doesn't even want a face, but it can be regarded as infatuation. Very good, full of praise. A conscientious 6th person. Kia stared at the handsome little brother in front of him with wide eyes, completely losing his ability to organize language. The whole person was like a small red tomato, and the rich steam above his head showed a not calm heart. It's so furious. This is a hurricane like courtship. What to do? What to do? Do you want to refuse? Shame on people. Usopp was also panicked at this time, and he couldn't wait to give himself a big mouth. It's quite a bit of a feeling of opening a group in place, and then jumping into the enemy position. Groove. Mouth away again. Nima. This time the misunderstanding is even deeper. Finished. Afternoon bye, explained a fart. Why again? Realizing that he had made a slip of the tongue, Usopp was already stupid, and twisted his stiff neck hard to avoid the death of the 3 people. Open mouth collapse. What's wrong with Xiao Yi? Why has this mouth also opened recently? How is it always leaking air, to die? Is it that Lao Sang and a few of them have lowered their heads to Xiao Yi and me? Why hurt me? People's hearts are not ancient. Don't shirk your responsibilities. Uncle. Actually, I can explain. Usopp wants to forcibly save a wave. Kia's father is worthy of being an old man who is familiar with weapon masters and others. Seniors, who at once caught the enemy's erroneous fighter, want to run? Naive. In fact, after Usopp's explanation in the afternoon, the pro had actually understood the cause of the matter, and the matter of raising the pro was originally a farce without a reality. However, looking at the daughter on the other side, whose whole heart is tied to him, plus Ben has the strategic purpose of wanting to tie Usopp to his own warship. Sleepy to send pillows, just the time originally, I thought that to promote this, maybe I would have to play some dirty tricks, hehe. I didn't expect that Usopp, this little devil, made his own mistake, then don't blame the old man for being ruthless. The old-timers decided to turn a deaf ear, pretend to be deaf and dumb, push the boat along the water, take advantage of the fire and rob, make something out of nothing, and darken the warehouse. Oh, virtuous son-in-law, your love for the little girl, in the study in the afternoon, uncle already knows. But you, this and this are too much. The frown and slightly reproachful tone made Usopp slightly relieved. It seems that the afternoon should be explained clearly, and the uncle is just afraid that Koya will be sad now, so he uses roundabout tactics and procrastination. The old-timers are worthy of the old-timers, brilliant. But Nyen is still young, and I don't think about you. Originally you and Kia, I and your aunt are still going to think about it. But thinking of your sincerity and love infatuation, my uncle can also see that the little girl already has a heart for you. Or maybe it's better to choose the day than to hit the sun, and today my uncle will complete you. Love is really the most beautiful thing in the world. Virtuous son-in-law, you must cherish Kia, do not fail her. As soon as the words changed, the old man took Kia's gentle little hand with a grief-stricken face, put it on Usopp's hand, and squeezed it hard. Those who value love and righteousness must tie each other with affection and righteousness. If Usopp is really cold and fierce, Kia's father does not dare to do so, and can only say that people are a little bullied and afraid of evil. This grip was like a thunderbolt on a sunny day, penetrating Usopp's marrow. Chills down Usopp's spine. Nima's acting skills. The porcelain king of Shur's island is compared to you, he is simply a child. Now what? It's passive. He opened his mouth to explain, but looking at the fierce killing intent in the depths of his father-in-law's grief-stricken eyes, Usopp wisely chose to close his mouth. It's cool. Before Usopp could slow down, an engagement agreement was already in front of Usopp. Belch. Groove. Do you want to be so soon? When will you be ready, big guy? And Kia is only a few years old. There is no need to urge marriage now. How can she be so beautiful and afraid that she will not be able to marry? To sign or not to sign, signing is both a promise and a responsibility. If you want to break the trust, it is estimated that they will kill themselves. If you don't sign, I'm afraid you won't be able to get out of this door, and Usopp doesn't want to hurt this innocent girl next to him. In fact, what I am struggling with is that Koya is still too young, and in her previous life she was a child who was going to school. Give the face not the face, there will definitely be danger. The opposite side obviously caught his slip of the tongue, and the sixth person also had a bit of a tendency to defect, which was useless. Forcibly explaining will definitely be brought into all kinds of chaotic hats, but if you forcibly escape, I am afraid that it will damage Kia's reputation, and look at the expectant eyes of this steam girl. Alas, Love Usopp held Kia's soft little hand and looked at Kia beside him seriously, casually young, but also generous and bright. The most comfortable thing is that it makes people feel calm and charmed at a glance. That's it. If you do evil, make sins. The sun is shining, spring is in full bloom, and it's the season for animals to breed. Usopp, who stood in a daze in front of the door of the big house, felt a little like a world away. The contract was signed, and he took 30% of the net interest, and the engagement agreement was voluntarily signed under the pressure of the death of the eyes of the two bigwigs. Not long after coming to this world, the problem of daughter-in-law and children was also successfully solved, but why can't I be happy? What is there to be happy about signing a marriage contract with a little lowly, and he is not a pervert? Why do these seniors like to buy and sell strongly? Usopp was puzzled. Turn your head and look behind you with a gift that has increased several times, a dowry? Still is? I'm not married yet. How many meanings? Usopp was now at a loss, except for being confused. And Lao Sang and the others were waiting by the side early, but looking at Usopp's sluggish and godless appearance, they didn't dare to step forward. Several people gathered in a pile and muttered, did it make people refuse? Will this gift be doubled? I guess, look at little Usopp's lost soul. After all, the world is still a lot worse. However, with the talent and strength of the eldest brother, they will definitely regret it in the future. So what now? Gentle and reassuring. Don't provoke him yet. If he goes crazy, we can't beat him. Everyone thought deeply and nodded together. A few people quietly gathered around. At this time Usopp was still in a daze. Several people made eye contact for a while, and finally pushed out the eldest cousin with the lowest generation. "Boss, boss." The eldest cousin screamed quietly twice, seeing that Usopp still had no reaction, and at the instigation of several other old-timers, he had the courage to step forward and pat Usopp on the shoulder. Just when the hand was about to touch Usopp's body, suddenly a pure black electric arc flashed on Usopp's body, and then turned back. The eldest cousin was already scorched black, and the whole person was also ejected in the open space a few meters away. This move is a recent anti-interference skill developed by Usopp, and Yang teaches the magic shield, which, in addition to automatically attacking enemies, can also generate a powerful and chaotic electromagnetic field within 10 meters of the body. Fortunately, Usopp's defense is only unconsciously turned on, and the strength only serves as a warning, otherwise he can now incense his eldest cousin. Several people looked at each other, secretly rejoicing, and silently mourned for their eldest cousin by the way. Fortunately, I didn't get started, and this kid didn't know how to develop this skill. Obviously it was just a slippery fruit ability. Electro flew the eldest cousin, and Usopp also sobered up, looked at the little brother who was still smoking, sighed and shook his head. The eldest cousin, who was still smoking lightly, slowed down the numb head, and stood up tremblingly. I have to say that this physical fitness is really strong, and it is not much different from the self in the original work. The warning effect of Professor Yang's magic shield also looks scary. In fact, the main purpose is to prevent someone from sneaking up on themselves and interfering with and counter-attacking the enemy at the moment of the enemy's sneak attack. Of course, the strongest Yang Zhao's shield defense is also very strong, and when it is turned on, there is a very powerful and chaotic electromagnetic field around, and the weaker enemy is even unstable in his body. Even the strong will be interfered with by the electromagnetic field to a certain extent, resulting in a significant decrease in the accuracy of the move. Count as a few of Usopp's signature skills. In Usopp's eyes, if the enemy who can't even break through the magic shield, he is not worthy of being an enemy at all. Although the slippery fruit is invincible with domineering, there is a problem. That is, if Usopp wants to hurt others, he must close the state of the slippery fruit, which is a bit like the body of the soil, and the person who does not dry is invincible, and there is a risk of being dried at the moment of drying. Based on this characteristic, Usopp still prefers to use guns. With a gun, you can perfectly balance your offensive and defensive attributes. Oh. It turned out to be a few of you. I'll go back first if there's nothing to do. Usopp, who was still listless after returning to his senses, saw that his eldest cousin had nothing to do, so he ordered his eldest cousin to help pull the car back. A few bigwigs also hurriedly went up to help enthusiastically, and Usopp is now in a very bad mood. Originally a simple thing was so complicated by these stirring sticks, and he signed a deed of sale. Depressed. I don't want to take care of a few old stirring sticks at all. Belch. They're churning sticks. What am I? Old bastard, still dare to scold me. Several big guys looked at Usopp inexplicably, changing Mo's face. I'm afraid this kid is overly sad, right? A few veterans exchanged heated eyes in the back. It's possible, so let's not provoke him lately, in case the emotional injury is too serious. Suicide will be bad. Wife, or do you want to talk to little Usopp more? This is something you women are good at. Leave it to me. A few people returned to the merchant ship with Usopp, and along the way, many people also saw a few people who were depressed, and the bigwigs on the island were really idle, and they hadn't waited for Usopp to get home. The whole island knows the message of Usopp's failure, and the young people who still have illusions about the Koya girl are congratulating each other, and Usopp's fan sisters are also full of joy, except for Usopp. It seems that everyone has been happy and has enough small talk. Because Usopp brought back several times the gift, the reputation of the Kia family increased a lot, and they won the name of benevolence and righteousness. The weapon master led the team, and several people were busy putting the goods in order. Usopp was found sitting on the deck looking at the sky in a daze. Old Sang. I found that in fact, everyone will hide a very selfish idea in their hearts. Maybe that person will never know whether it will hurt the person next to him, but this person can never replace that beautiful idea. You say, the story in our life, if we know the ending at the beginning, all the experiences are just watching the plot, then what is the meaning of our existence? With a little melancholy on his face, Usopp looked at the sky and muttered, as if talking to himself, and as if he was saying to Sunderland beside him. I don't know, maybe I don't want to do that much. An answer that is not an answer, a little evasive, but also a little open-minded. Old Sang patted Usopp's shoulder, and left quietly with a few people, leaving a little quiet for Usopp and giving him a little space of his own. Some things still have to be faced by himself, and sometimes other people's advice is a poison. This is fine. What reason is there in the future, and then let yourself make the decision to escape. Usopp stood up and swept the dust off his body. Elegant dress, with a wry smile in his melancholy expression. Providence, I walk alone, and peace of mind is home. Dine. Having figured it out, Usopp happily began to prepare lunch and also began to prepare for the next stage of practice. 3 years later, the boy danced the sword on the edge of the cliff, with a straight posture and a black top and shorts, with an unparalleled beauty in the coldness. The young man's eyes were empty, the sword dance was very slow, and every move was extremely sincere, and he had absolute control over his body. When you look closer, you will find that there is a layer of water film on the young man's sword. The reason why each sword is so slow is because the force of the sword body is controlled very subtly, to unload the force of the water itself to form a layer of water wrapping the sword body. The end is a strange sword technique. In the past 3 years, Usopp's strength has grown by leaps and bounds, and the sword technique, marksmanship, and fruit are all incomparable. Not only that, the gun-fighting technique has removed the version number, and the meaning has been completed in theoretical cultivation. Domineering. The growth of the armed color is decent, although strong but still within a reasonable range. Usopp himself estimates that the strength of the armed color now should be much stronger than his brother 2 years later. The increase in color is too exaggerated. I don't know if it is because of the control of lightning and electromagnetic waves, or because of its own talent. Now Usopp's sight and smell completely envelop the entire island is very easy, and it also achieves the ability to read minds at a long distance, lock, interfere with invading phone bugs and so on. He also invented an electromagnetic wave conversion device, similar to a radio station, which controlled the electromagnetic as a central machine through his sights and colors, and could also realize group chats on the island and other functions. However, there has been no breakthrough in predicting the future, as if it has reached a bottleneck, but Usopp is not in a hurry, and he can't use it for the time being. As Usopp guessed, there was no great necessary connection between awakening and physical strength. The limit of the fruit's ability comes from the understanding of the fruit and the affirmation of one's own strong desire. Ability manipulation is detailed enough, and the development of fantasy abilities is the most powerful proof of operational power. Usopp's first fantasy ability, the mind-clearing technique, is to turn illusory distractions into entities. This ability is a major spiritual ability. The role is to clear one's own distractions, so that oneself is always in a deep and fixed state, can quickly increase the growth of spiritual power. When the skill is released, when the distractions are cleared, bubbles of different colors will slide out of the Usopp. That's right. Not floating out, but a very weird way, sliding out, although similar to floating, but very strange. Anyone who sees this phenomenon will only think of slipping. The reason why there is a selfless killing realm to develop this skill is mainly because once the selfless killing realm is opened, reason is in some danger, and they are all acquaintances in this place, so Usopp has the idea of developing new skills. These two abilities actually overlap to a certain extent, but the effect is better if you forget about it. The ability to control can achieve meditation, but because of the continuous energy control, it can only be regarded as a promising method, and the realm is more than one notch behind. The effect is naturally much worse. So when there is no one, Usopp kills himself, and when there are people, he opens the distraction clearing technique. In terms of flesh, Usopp's physical body seems to have developed to its own limit, and the effect of electrotherapy is also very weak. Even if Usopp increases the power, it has little effect, and the time to become stronger is very long. Primitive muscle exercises are even less effective. Usopp feels that he should be an intellectual hero. It is not easy to forcibly fill up his agility, and if he wants to fill up his strength, he is a little greedy, and now the physical strength is enough. At least Usopp feels that the physical aspect of fighting the yellow ape is still a little confident. As for Whitebeard, Bigman Kaido, Carp, Red Dog, etc. Oh, just take a look. It is just the right time for the development of the physical body to the development of other skills. I have to praise the great power of time, and the original little Loli is now also very beautiful. Although the people in the town always thought that Usopp had failed, the owner of the house never came forward to clarify. Your old book of more than 300 pages also gives your father-in-law time to clarify it. But Koya has long considered herself Usopp's wife, and since that day 3 years ago, Usopp has had an extra cute little tail. Medusa's business is also very smooth, several planning and event combinations punch down. The name Medusa has become the top luxury in the pirate world. Money is really just a number for Usopp now. From the Draco to the royal and aristocratic families, they all flocked to it and went crazy. And Medusa has long become a symbol of status and financial power. More money naturally leads to trouble, and Usoppu's set of pulling tiger skins and hanging big flags is still very useful for the time being. The situation is not yet the time to expose the bosses behind the scenes. There is money, power, and strength. Life is really beautiful. The rest was waiting for Luffy and them to come, and it should be almost the same as a pinch. In recent years, with the development of Usopp fruit to awaken, the skill of refractive transfiguration has long been completed, and the entire town has gradually become accustomed to Usopp's gradually ugly appearance under Usopp's manipulation and fine-tuning. Time has always been the biggest enemy of mankind, can bring wonderful memories, but also can make people easily forget a person's appearance, elegant and handsome teenager, and changed back to the dark-skinned spirit boy, of course, not really ugly, but has become much more ordinary, much darker skin. Except for the Kia family and Lao Sang, Usopp rarely shows his true face in front of people now. After all, there is still a small safe point when going to sea in the future. As long as there are enough vests, sadness will not catch up with me, and it will not be easy to implicate my family. The fans in the town have also calmed down a lot because Usopp has become ordinary, and they are no longer so crazy about him, which Usopp feels that this skill development is quite worthwhile, and it is difficult to be an idol. I remember the days of relying on love letters for warmth in the previous 2 years, and I can't look back. As for the love rivals, they don't take him to heart at all, and they have long forgotten Usopp's previous appearance psychologically, all thinking that this ugly X-state is what USO should be, so they are worthy of competing with us. What a unjoke. People like to remember what they want to remember, forget what they want to forget, deceive themselves, and nothing more. With the transfiguration of Usopp's Go Dao is also considered a big success. Using the ability, you can achieve invisibility, illusion, transfiguration. Now he is actually invisible to the wind on his waist, so that the advantage when fighting is very large, because the enemy does not know what you have in your hand, how far to attack, what shape. Wise masters often need to consider how much information the enemy knows, not how much information they know. A person came to the island the year before last, which made Usopp feel very happy, that is, the captain of the Black Cat pirate group that Usopp has been thinking about, Beiji Locke, our dear big butler. Finally, his mother's online is online, and their village can be regarded as having a network cable. Although the current strength of the big butler is just an ordinary trash fish in Usopp's opinion, well, now except for the domineering strong or some more strange fruit ability, the others are miscellaneous fish. But we can't ignore the great position of the big butler as a plot instrument. Seeing the big butler, Usopp felt more than half stable on the spot. This Thorpe and the Kia family did not meet much. If they met, they would also launch stealth and quietly pass. Mainly in several aspects. The first is business. Too much money is made. It is very important to keep the mystery of the boss behind the scenes, so that the enemy can keep taboo and not allow the truth, so it will also make the people at the front desk relatively safer. Secondly, Usopp believes that maintaining the sustainable development of the plot is his unavoidable and unshirkable responsibility. If some tragedy happens because of the change in the plot, it will make Usopp feel real pain, because then the responsibility is entirely his. But Kia didn't care so much, and she didn't have much contact with the family's business, so she would often take the initiative to come to the place where Usopp was training to find him, sometimes chatting and sometimes sitting on the side quietly watching Usopp practice. The gentle and pitying gaze in Koya's black-brown eyes always made Usopp flee. Endless friendship, endless tenderness like water. 3 years of blood earning? Don't give it a try? No. No. Can't beat it. Can't beat it. Kia thought that Usopp was a strange person, saying that he had come to raise a kiss and was also engaged, but after so long, he had not married her. She is also rarely touched, and the girl in love is sometimes cranky, and she is curious to know if Usopp has her in mind. For this reason, the flowers in the garden of the big house were bawled by her. He loved me, he did not love me. Kia's mother often advised her not to worry, but the time had not yet come. But at what time, the mother did not say, which made Kia feel that the old mother was afraid that she would be sad, and then fooled herself in good faith. The old man often troubles Usopp for this, and he will definitely not be able to beat it, but the deduction will be given to Kia, and your future daughter-in-law will not be too much pocket money. Not too much. Not too much. You're happy. The girlfriends of Kia in the town have also fallen in love one after another, getting married, and having babies. Whenever someone asked her if she had someone she liked, she smiled and shook her head. Enthusiastic girlfriends. I don't know if it's happy or sad for her. As a town flower, she has never lacked excellent boys to pursue, but after chasing for a long time without reacting, she gradually turned to attack the girlfriends around her. When girlfriends get together alone, they often mock each other, whose husband is the garbage that Kia does not want, etc., and in the long run, these women who are unbalanced in their hearts gradually point the spearhead to Kia. Women's plastic camaraderie, hee hee, it's also funny very, underscore. However, he pounced on Usopp, but Ya did not feel anything, always so soft, so gentle, neither forced Usopp to do anything, nor took the initiative to question Usopp about anything. She was just silent guardian, silently waiting for a miracle, silently peeling her mind away bit by bit in front of Usopp. Sincerity is sometimes a sharp weapon, Especially for Usopp. For Usopp, it is better to cry, make trouble and hang himself, than he is better to deal with. Looking at such a layer of peeling away his heart, Usopp often feels sour and depressed, and the feelings in his heart are like volcanoes, always on the verge of eruption, and whenever he is about to lose control, Usopp will open the distraction clearing technique. There are many reasons why he can't accept Kia. The most important thing is that he will become a pirate full of enemies in the next few years. Just look at Luffy's ability to cause trouble. The Four Emperors' navy offends all over again. In this case, it is undoubtedly a very dangerous thing to be with Kia. Think of the world's own mother, lovesickness and loneliness all her life. How could he bear to treat such a girl so selfishly? The increase in strength did not make him arrogant, thinking that he was already invincible and stood on the top of the forbidden purple. Although Usopp does not know what level his specific strength is, he still knows the gap between himself and the real strong in this world, and the real strong in this world is really terrifying that he can't mark the actual combat effectiveness with normal data. Judging from some other data, his actual combat power has not broken through the sky, nor can he do such tumultuous operations as domineering wings and domineering horses. First of all, it is definitely inferior to Ka-er, and even if he meets the future Ka-er, his strength is still not as good as the general, and the general is not as good as the Four Emperors. From this food chain, Usopp thinks that he should be slightly stronger than Shi Wuhai, and he can't reach the level of the Emperor and vice. As for the 5-5 old sand, the strength is too erratic and difficult to compare. Let's classify it as a dangerous level. Although Usopp has several skills with relatively explosive outputs, the reading time is extremely long, and unless the opponent is brain dead, it is basically impossible to use it in the high-end game. Chicken. The 3 years of intensive practice have not made the reading time much shorter, and the two-dimensional knife has been shortened to about 5 seconds, but the battle of the strong is not much different from a century, enough to die hundreds of times, and it is still unbearable. The enchantment of the ion line is not bad, a single-point attack, extremely powerful, but continuing to maintain this enchantment will consume a lot of mental power and domineering, and during the maintenance period, due to the reason of multi-use, it will also lead to a decrease in the power of other skills, which is a bit worth the loss. I guess it's slightly more meat in the chicken ribs. Conventional output means, attack power also weak. The flesh has also reached a bottleneck, can only be improved by watermilling. As for the efficiency, then hehe. The bottleneck of the flesh is also armed with the color bottleneck on the side, but as an inspirational person who becomes an elegant bastard, it is already strong to burst. During this time, Kia was not happy. I don't know if it was caused by the busyness of work. Kaya's parents' health deteriorated, and Usopp also remembered the original work. It seems that Kaya's parents died of disease. After knowing that Kia's parents were seriously ill, Usopp quietly went to see them, and Usopp had nothing to do about it, so he could only watch the two of them being eaten away by the disease little by little. The mentality of the old couple is good. For so many years, the sea of people has been floating and sinking, and the things of life and death have been seen too much. The only thing that cannot be assured is Kia, and now there are people who can be trusted, and the glory of the family has been rejuvenated again, and there is no regret. The old couple also handed over the company to Kaya, and told Usopp that if he wanted the company, he would protect Kaya, and it was best to marry home early, otherwise there would be no children. The two also cursed Usopp for a long time, by the way, and used the name of Heavenly Tao to trip Usopp a lot. By the way, if you don't treat Kia well, you won't let him go. After all this, your second elder will rest, and leave a good impression on everyone on his deathbed. Okay. The black lines on Usopp's face were rare to look at with love and concern. Still a ghost? When I 5 Thunder Jungfa is a joke? I am mighty heavenly dragon, like Buddha's. Before Usopp could say a word, the two elegant old things began to rush people. Let Usopp hurry up, don't delay their last two-person world. I have to say that nobles are aristocrats, and they are so elegant when they scold the street. Nima. Okay, two big guys, Xiao Yi, this is rolling. Usopp was originally a little sad, but was directly cut off by these two old guys from the root. Birth, old age, illness and death are compulsory courses from which everyone cannot escape. The compulsory course for the old couple should be full marks, right? Alas, two kind elders. Out of the house, Usopp let out a long sigh and looked up at the distant starry sky, as if two meteors had just crossed. All the sorrows in the world are nothing more than death and separation. Usopp is not very good at comforting people, especially a girl like Kaya, who is gentle and submissive on the outside, but is actually strong and strong inside. What to say seems to be nonsense, but since nonsense exists, it means that nonsense has its place. Maybe it is time to say more nonsense at this moment? Usopp silently walked behind Kaya, and gently hugged her fragrant and soft body from behind. Lowered his head to Kaya's ear and said seriously and warmly. Don't be afraid, there will be me in the future. Same words, different scenarios. Kia bit her lower lip, and the tears that she had been holding back were shattered by Usopp's words, and Kia turned around sharply and hugged Usopp hard, crying out loudly. It doesn't matter at the beginning of life, but it hurts at the end. Whose heart does it just hurt? It is another day with a sunny wind, the blue sky, cloudless, and the wind is refreshing and pleasant. It is a good day for marriage and burial. But everyone's mood is not as cheerful as the weather, but a little heavy. At this moment, even the unanimous girlfriends heavenly group, they have put aside their prejudices between each other and sincerely pray for Kia. The eldest cousin also fully shows the appearance of a qualified little brother, and the arrangements inside and out are very appropriate, and Anta here also occasionally lives in the big house to accompany Kaya. Lao Tai and the others not only feel sorry for Kia, the eldest niece, but also feel sorry for her parents. People from the town also came to ask if they needed help. Countrymen have nothing else, but they can more or less make a contribution. Usopp also rarely stopped all his practice, and accompanied Kaya with peace of mind. Wherever Kaya went, Usopp followed wherever he went, except to go to the toilet. It's just that except for Kia, everyone else has been shielded by Usopp's ability. So Lao Tai and others are still spitting behind their backs that Usopp is a small thing that has no humanity, but Usopp, who is not in a good mood, is too lazy to show up to them to popularize the survival of the weak. This time, Usopp did not use the distraction clearing technique and selfless killing to block and clear this rotten mood, but wanted to seriously feel the depression and sorrow of this moment. With domineering, he felt the same mood as Kia. The two followed the procedure and stopped and walked, one silent and the other speechless. Although Usopp did not say anything intimate, but with Usopp's company, Kia felt much more peaceful and safer, knowing that he still had something to rely on, and he was not alone in this world. In Usopp's eyes, Kia has experienced this and grown a lot, and is no longer the simple fool by Tien. In fact, there is no sentence that can make people fully realize what can really make people grow, like waking up from a dream to see through people's hearts, can only be an unforgettable experience. The parting of life and death is not only a compulsory course for Kia's parents, but also a compulsory course for Kia. There is still a long way to go, and I am there for the rest of my life. The business matters have been completely put down by the two in the past few days, and there are big housekeepers to handle it on their behalf, plus the little masters bought by the Kia families everywhere to maintain order. Usopp is also quite relieved, and 100-count Chloe, naturally not a brainless second goods. Want to take the normal path to inherit Koya's home. I don't want it to lose money, and this huge asset that he can't think of in his heart has long been engraved with his name. And in this small East China Sea, who still call? Isn't it just that he can do whatever he wants? Pifu is not guilty, miss. Usopp's side is not worried, there is not much problem, after all, the world of pirates still has to speak with fists in the end, and Usopp feels that his fists should be returned in the East China Sea. Pointed. A rookie pirate with a group of small rookie chickens, there is no challenge, it is really not possible to subdue first, and finally pull together, who is in favor and who is against, work step by step. Therefore, in business matters, he never shy away from the existence of the big housekeeper, and even let him gradually become the top management of the enterprise. Of course, it has to be said that people with brains use it to save their minds, and the annual turnover has also increased significantly. In order to maintain the plot of the original book, Usopp did not let the big butler know his connection with the Kia family, and in the heart of the big butler, Usopp is still the son of the pirate who lies a lot. It's ugly, it's not worth mentioning. Usopp has followed Koya peacefully these days, and has completely cut off his cultivation, but I don't know why his strength is steadily improving, which makes Usopp a little confused. Unintentional insertion of willows. After Koya slept, Usopp let go of all his skills, just simply meditated and emptied himself. After quieting my mind, I carefully understood what I thought and did in the past few years, and between gains and losses, I found that I had been cultivating in pain and depression. For a long time, Usopp lived himself as a taut bow, constantly tensed, always ready for the moment of collapse. The more you push yourself, the closer you get to breaking down. Originally, I wanted to live with the strength of death and rebirth, leaving no way back for myself and no chance for weakness. But people are not bows after all, there will be weakness, there will be sadness, there will be pain, there will be tiredness. Usopp finally realized at this moment, the previous practice of strong military mental physique fell behind, so it led to Usopp improving quickly in the early stage, but the later he got, the more he lacked stamina, the way of yin and yang, one by one. Let go of everything in your heart, forget attachment, forget what you have learned, and empty everything. Usopp's divine soul sublimated at this moment, and the green lotus bloomed, light and clear. Everything in the whole body is automatically readjusted and optimized at this moment, and the radical and rigid places in the practice are constantly changing, and everything that has been put down is organically integrated into one furnace under such circumstances, and they can no longer distinguish each other. Everything is free and uninformal. It turns out that I have become arrogant unconsciously. Spiritual cultivation was really dangerous, and before he knew it, he almost went astray. Usopp looked down and sighed. A night of meditation refreshed Usopp, recognized himself, and became stronger. Usopp, who opened his eyes, was exactly opposite to Koya's 4 eyes, who had been lying on the side of the bed looking at him, and Usopp was staring down at the moment, with a little warmth in his clear and clean eyes. Kia's face turned red, and she immediately restrained herself as soon as she made an evasive move, because she didn't want to continue to hide her mind. She has lost everything, she does not want to lose Usopp again, she must bravely seize her love. Usopp is on the way to Lao Tai's house at the moment. Yes, he was kicked out by Kia, and Kia, who is emotionally stable and in a regular state, is also going to start dealing with the family business that has been left for many days. Originally, Usopp said to stay and help, but after seeing the big butler come in with a mountain-like document, Usopp decisively slipped away under Koya's white eyes. This kind of big thing, or leave it to you capable people. As the saying goes, lying down to win is cool for a while, and lying down to win is always cool. Where did you get this copycat saying? In fact, the weapon master was looking for Usopp the other day, saying that the thing he wanted had been forged and asked him to pick up the goods, because the things that happened to Koya have never been done. Koya's side also let go of the knot and cheered up again. Today is just in time to relax, go to the old iron house to slip around, and rub a breakfast by the way. Old iron. Old iron. Before he entered the door, Usopp began to shout at the top of his voice. Stinky boy. What about your soul? Are you driving stealth? This kid is not big or small, and he can't educate himself now, it's really a world that is not ancient. Looking at Sunderland's helpless face, Ahir also covered his mouth and smiled next to him. Usopp undid the refractive effect, and also went to the kitchen to get a pair of cutlery, consciously moved a stool, and opened to eat. I'm Nima, my temper. A green tendon bulged sharply on the head of the weapon master. Feelings, you boy. This is choking the meal. When Koya was sad, you little bastard didn't accompany you. It's so unconscionable. At this moment, Sunderland very much wants to strangle Usopp, an unfilial nephew. Speaking of this, Aunt Ahir also showed a little dissatisfaction next to her. Knocked Usopp's forehead hard. Auntie knock, forget it. Still don't hide. The dark poke turned off the slippery fruit's defense mechanism. Closing the defense, the effect was immediate, and soon a large bag bulged on the head. I don't know who the inhuman little thing says, Usopp said slowly as he ate. Ha. 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 Says who? I don't know at all. No, your uncle, and I can still say bad things about people behind my back. The weapon master is a little embarrassed at this time. After all, saying bad things about people behind his back, and being heard by the parties, this feeling is indeed a little wonderful. But think about it, since where is your kid doing stealth? Stealth following Koya? Gee. Your kid is also too obscene, isn't he engaged? Why do you secretly stalk people? Old Iron pouted, expressing a strong expression of Usopp's behavior. On Aunt Ahir's side, a fierce murderous aura rushed to the smallpox. Huh. Nima makes people have a good meal. Aunt. Don't be impulsive, put down the knife first. The pungent murderous aura made Usopp panic on the spot. It's just that you can't see it, and after you awaken, you can completely control the direction of light passing through your body. Koya can see me. Usopp hastened to admit. Quickly explained. Sure enough, the ability to stealth cannot let Nami know about them, otherwise they may die. After a pleasant breakfast, Usopp followed the old iron to the forging room. In recent years, Usopp has invested a lot of money, and the two have made a lot of basic lathe tools with Usopp's ideas and designs, which can also meet the needs of Usopp's next stage of weapons development. If you want to do things well, you must first sharpen your tools. Lao Tai took out a large box from under the workbench, opened the box. Inside were some precision machined parts. Looking at the contents of the box, Usopp was overjoyed. Hurry up and try it. Assemble it according to the drawings in your memory, and assemble it. A little strength, old iron. I didn't expect that this fine tuning was saved. Tight seams, airtight Well, the main thing is that your lathe idea is very good. After setting the specifications, it is easy to process precision parts, and it is really convenient to produce repeatedly. The weapon master highly respected the design of Usopp's machine tool. It has been said more than once that if Usopp is a blacksmith, it is estimated that others may not have food. Usopp held the assembled finished product, touching it delicately, feeling it. Adhering to the consistent style of Lao Tai, the material is solid and the hand feels solid. This heavy sniper king. Caliber 25mm, operation semi-automatic, barrel length 447mm, total length 1164mm, spiral rifling 1, lead 559mm, rifle weight 135 kg. 135 pounds of ordinary people can't hold things, but was easily picked up by Usopp, pulled the bolt, loaded, aimed, pulled the trigger. The action was handsome, all in one go. When a man is the most handsome, it is undoubtedly a serious time. Bang. The loud noise brought up the wave, and the whole house shook. Although the recoil is strong, it is nothing for Usopp now. After all, this is not a normal world. And how can this be called a sniper rifle? Obviously it's a sniper gun, okay. In the sky more than 2,000 meters away, a poor bird violently burst into a handful of blood mist. The corpse was gone. The powerful kinetic energy of this gun hit the target. The moment it hit the target, all the kinetic energy was released on the target, and there was no blood and flesh and blood left. Strong, really strong, without domineering defense. Usopp thinks that no one can carry this shot. At the time of the war, the world's strongest Whitebeard was also seriously injured by ordinary muskets without domineering defense, which shows that although the people of this world are strong, their flesh will be easily injured without protection, and there is no real invincibility. This is the case with Big Mom, who saw the nun photo fall to the ground at the tea party, causing a nervous breakdown, kneeling on the ground, and her weight alone had already injured her. And this heavy sniper is not so strong without additional fruit, which really greatly exceeds Usopp's expectations. Just call you Barrett. Usopp stroked his love gun, feeling that his living space was much more stable. It's just that what Usopp didn't expect was that the battle belonging to this gun was about to begin. New World Dressrosa. The Don Quixote family is gathered together, and today is not a big holiday, nor is there a birthday celebration for the family members. They came together to talk about a big thing, something they had only begun to notice a year earlier. This matter involved tens of billions of berry transactions, and the other party still used his Doflamingo name. Who is Doflamingo? King Dressrosard, the underworld in the underworld, the hegemonic boss in the new world, the janitor who allows the navy to plunder at will. A thief who plays with a hand of thread fruit, can connect between clouds, can be called the Spider-Man of the pirate world, so that the tailor Grandmaster Usopp is willing to bow down and think that he is inferior. He is also the only man who can combine tight shorts with a pink feather coat and a sense of fashion, and he is also a man who grows on a sassy idea, and legend has it that he is a monster possessed by sunglasses. Engaged in illegal activities such as underground society drugs, human trafficking, peddling killing weapons, etc., and even has close business interests with Kaido, one of the four emperors. For Doflamingo, who has such a powerful force, there are only three possibilities for a person or a force to dare to use his name indiscriminately when he knows himself. I want to fall under his command and become a loyal dog under him. This article is not considered for the time being, because since its discovery, no one from this force has contacted the Don Quixote family. The second other party is not afraid of him, but just uses his name to shock Xiao Xiao, and let them carry the pot by the way. This one is very likely. 3 deliberately lured them into the bait, which was a trap, a conspiracy against their family. Doflamingo offended many people, but the strength was so strong that there were not many people who could threaten him, and among these few people, after careful analysis, they did not understand who was targeting him, mainly this style of acting, and the people he knew were not very good. Alas. Why hasn't Brother Ming come yet? So much money is still not moved. Too little. Usopp yawned while complaining about Xiaoduo's efficiency. That's it. Still want to be the C. I have to say that smart people always think a lot, and this is the case with Dover. The tragedy of his childhood made him extreme, and his brother's betrayal made him suspicious. But once people become suspicious, they will naturally have less courage. Although he has the color of Overlord, his strength has already reached the limit in Usopp's heart. Talk about it. What do you think? Flamenco asked with a heavy face. It was obvious that he had a deep prejudice against the bastard who borrowed his name at random and did not pay the royalties. Dover, according to intelligence, Medusa originated on an island in the East China Sea called the village of Cibro. And the enemy didn't seem to hide his intentions, and when we investigated, he directly told us to go to the village of Zybro in the East China Sea to find the big boss behind them. However, our intelligence network Donghai did not find any more powerful characters. The one who spoke was Toripal, one of the highest cadres, a person with sticky fruit ability, and his snot occasionally flicked when he spoke, which really made people a little unable to eat. The most crushing thing is that his snot is still in a state of dripping and not dripping, bouncing back and forth, which can really force obsessive-compulsive patients to death. Bang bang. Really arrogant. This is all provocative to the front teeth. Doflamingo let out his signature smile, his gaze cleverly avoiding Toripal's snot that flicked a few handfuls. Sure enough. The endurance of bad people is different, far beyond ordinary people. Since the enemy has pulled the horse, Diamante, Pika, take Guladius, Baby 5, and Buffalo to teach the enemy a lesson. Let him know the name of our Don Quixote family, but not any cat or dog can use it indiscriminately. Since you said so, then I will go and bring back the enemy's head to you. Diamante, dressed like an Indian native, said modestly. Little meaning. Dover. The macho Pika said with a sharp voice. Pika's voice is really a little contradictory, and I don't know how to develop. Have the vocal cords developed into the muscles? You still don't talk. As soon as you speak, the mortality rate of the people below will increase by at least a percentage point. I didn't see that there were several of them that couldn't hold back. The rest of the people did not raise any objections, because the cadres of the family each shouldered a lot of responsibilities, and the manpower was not large, and this time to send 2 generals at a time was enough to show the importance of Doflamingo. Pirates. Fighting to the end is a fist. Others have provoked here, whether it is a conspiracy or not, Brother Ming has no other choice. If Brother Ming doesn't react, then how to mess around in the pirate circle in the future? Does it mean that anyone can do things outside under the name of Doflamingo? There is no absolute secret about the pirates' affairs, plus the other party has not hidden himself at all, so the sooner it is dealt with, the better. This is the Yang Mo that forced him to make a move. Of course, if he can persuade the other party to let the other party join him, not only can he protect his own majesty, but also use the other party's current power to supplement the shortcomings in his own power. Therefore, 2 of the highest cadres of the family were sent at one time, or the 2 with the highest combat effectiveness. The purpose was to hope for success in the first battle and deter the small. Let others know that Doflamingo is not so easy to mess with, and that the laws of their Don Quixote family are inviolable. Realizing the seriousness of the matter, the 2 did not delay, and took advantage of the fact that it was still early, prepared supplies, and immediately led people to set off. Even the 2 fantasized about how to catch the enemy boss later, and how to insult and torture to show the majesty of their Don Quixote family. It's amazing. To be honest, the 2 of them actually did not have any pressure. The wind and waves they had seen in their lives, there were too many, no matter how evil and incredible things were. All of them have appeared in their life experience. The 2 have also gone through ups and downs and countless battles of life and death to reach their current position step by step. It is not due to Yi's rookie chicken, but to the real strength. The 2 of them also have strong fruit ability, a rock fruit, and a bannerman who flies the fruit. They are all masters who are proficient in domineering, and this kind of lineup can't think of anything else that can be done except for meeting admirals. The target is still in the weakest East China Sea, so the only thing they have to do is get things done before the Navy reacts. Otherwise, the old woman of the crane chased after him, and no one could eat it. Of course, since the other party dares to be so provocative, it must not be underestimated. In order to prevent accidents, Brother Ming added another layer of consideration. Therefore, the purpose of sending the 2 is actually that if they can't fight, the 2 highest combat powers take care of each other, and the worst can escape back. It can also be regarded as a double insurance. Talent is not easy. Living talents can be used for themselves, although Brother Ming's heart is important, but it must always be placed after the life of the family cadre. After all, people can still get back face when they are alive, and what is the point of finding unrealistic face when people die? Brother Ming is still very clear about this, and he is also aware enough, and the necessary compromise is the way to survive the power, and from this point of view, he is a qualified boss. There are no twists and turns on the way forward, light and blue waves, bikinis, people are full of yearning and passion. The fleet under its own flag did not encounter anything, and did not open its eyes to challenge the majesty of the old-timers. It was true that the days of the evil age were not born. Because of the comprehension of Usopp's side some time ago, the way of yin and yang is between caring and relaxing, and he no longer pushes himself too much to play with his life to improve his strength as before, but he didn't expect that his body and mind relaxed, and his strength has made great progress, which also makes Usopp find a justified excuse for being lazy. In this way, the whole person often holds the teacup, leans on the side of the boat to taste tea, blowing the sea breeze, quietly feel your artistic life. Occasionally, he will accompany Kia, but Kia has been too busy recently, and there is still a lot to learn in business. Usopp can't help much with this. After all, he is a behind-the-scenes boss. Just fight and settle accounts, and the original intention of making money is also for better cultivation, rather than falling into the quagmire of desire. However, there is a big butler who is also comfortable in dealing with it, and the problem is not big. I have to say that the big butler is really a perfect toolman, and there is work in his eyes. Automatic self-awareness is really rare. Counting the days to go about a year or so, our entrepreneurial little genius pirate Wong Luffy will be guided by fate to come to this island. How to join them organically is not a big problem in Usopp's opinion. Pirate Wong Luffy at this stage The banknote ability is 0. The combat effectiveness is temporarily considered 5, and there is no money and it is very dish. Except for the top white domineering, other aspects are not worth mentioning for the time being. The so-called opening bucket, teammates all rely on picking. Carefully tasting, it should be a medium difficulty of small meaning, but the art of language cannot be played, which makes many things a lot more troublesome. It's a bit contrived to join directly. Waiting for an invitation, in case people don't invite. After all, the personality has changed too much, and the threat level of the big housekeeper has also dropped from fatal to harmless to humans and animals now. People don't invite, and it's very low. So organic to join the Straw Hat group, the focus is on this organic word. Really, Usopp has some headaches. Or pretend all at once. In case of triggering the heavenly Tao aura, it would be a bit more than worth the loss. It is impossible to maintain this situation to this day. Or hard steel front, go ashore and beat the two of them first. This idea is a bit interesting. In this life, Usopp did not establish that funny Usopp pirate group. After all, psychologically an adult, playing pirate games is still too shameful. The little members of the 3 vegetable heads in the previous life have not seen much in this life, and they have not been worshipped by the 3 little guys, probably because they no longer lie to everyone in the morning that the pirates are coming, right? It's also good for Usopp, at least it's tiring with children. Thinking about these and some of them, suddenly Usopp's pupils shrank sharply. Several large pirate ships appeared on the distant sea. As the fleet approached, the corners of Usopp's mouth drew a confident arc. It's coming, Shoutwo.